All right, let's dive right into this explainer and explore the hidden data matrix that's happening literally right beneath your fingertips every single time you type, work, or game. We interact with keyboards all day, every day, right? But honestly, how often do we actually stop to measure their performance? Well, today, we are completely pulling back the curtain on your hardware. Have you ever blamed a missed jump in your favorite game, or maybe a super frustrating repeating typo on your hardware? Yeah, we've all been there. But then, you stop and wonder, wait, is the problem actually just user error? Is it my software lagging, or is the physical switch under this piece of plastic actually broken? It's a surprisingly common mystery, and honestly, just guessing the answer can lead to unnecessarily buying some really expensive replacement gear. To solve this whole hardware versus software mystery, we're going to run through a comprehensive diagnostic checkup of your keyboard using a powerful, free online tool from KeyboardTester.click. We'll be looking at browser diagnostics, mastering the basic key test, exposing ghosting and chatter, running pro latency tests, and wrapping up with privacy and troubleshooting tips. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Browser Diagnostics, with absolutely no downloads needed. What's really awesome here is that you can perform a complete deep dive into your hardware without clogging up your system with extra downloads or bloated software. It's a 100% browser-based diagnostic tool. You don't need to install an app, you definitely don't need to add a browser extension, and there is 0 accounts required. You just open the page and boom, the environment is completely ready to read your hardware's inputs. Now, before you press a single key, we need to configure that environment. The tool supports almost everything: Windows, Mac, Chromebook, Linux, plus wired and Bluetooth boards. But here's the thing, because a compact laptop keyboard sends totally different signals than a massive desktop one, selecting your exact operating system and layout first is an absolutely crucial preventative step. Telling the tool whether you're using QWERTY, AZERTY, or a Mac layout ensures the symbols on your screen actually match what your keyboard is sending, which completely avoids any false failures. Moving right along to Section 2, the basic key test, where we check your keyboard's vitals. So the key here is to follow a really methodical sequence. You don't just mash your hand on the keys. First, like we just said, choose your OS and layout labels. Second, click inside the tester to give it focus, and press just one physical key at a time, letting it release fully. Third, you're going to verify that key press against the visual history on your screen. And fourth, if any key acts even a little suspicious, like it misses or repeats, you retest it slowly, maybe 3 to 5 times. This difference in behavior is exactly how we isolate hardware from software issues. A healthy key should highlight exactly once, show up in your key history, and go completely inactive the literal millisecond your finger lifts. If the screen shows a completely different letter than what you actually pressed, well, that tells us you might just be dealing with an OS language setting or a shortcut conflict capturing the input rather than a broken physical switch. The visual feedback is your absolute best friend here. All right, Section 3, exposing ghosting and chatter. This is where we find those hidden keyboard flaws. Once we clear the basic vitals, it's time to stress test your board for the 2 most maddening keyboard ailments out there. First up is key chatter. If you constantly find yourself accidentally typing double letters, you are almost certainly experiencing key chatter. This happens when a single physical key press creates rapid, duplicate entries in the system's history. It basically means the physical switch under the cap is failing or getting stuck, causing it to bounce and send that electrical signal multiple times, even though you only pushed it once. To put an exact metric on this, the tool features a dedicated double fire log. It flags any key that registers twice within a mere 50 milliseconds. And let's be real, human fingers generally just do not tap that fast intentionally. So, if the tester catches 2 inputs in under 50 milliseconds, you've got concrete, undeniable proof of a failing switch. It moves the issue from a vague feeling to a documented hardware failure. The second major ailment is keyboard ghosting, which is pretty much the ultimate villain for fast typists and gamers. Ghosting occurs when the internal matrix of the keyboard simply cannot process the electrical paths of multiple keys being held down at the same time. It essentially just drops the inputs of newly pressed keys because its internal electrical grid is completely jammed up by the keys you're already holding down. Next up is Section 4, Pro Latency Tests, for some advanced diagnostics. Now, for those of you who really need to push your hardware to the absolute limit to track down these ghosting issues, let's look at the Pro tools. To combat ghosting, premium keyboards boast something called N-key rollover. This is essentially a keyboard's capability to accurately detect and register every single key pressed at the exact same time, no matter how many you hold down. To test this, the Pro Diagnostic tool asks you to hold 4 or more keys simultaneously, just to see exactly where your specific hardware's capability maxes out. Does it stop reading after 4 keys, 6 keys, maybe 8? To make this super practical, the tool provides guided tests that translate real-world actions into raw diagnostic data. For example, it tests the standard FPS sprint, which is holding WASD and Shift all at once. Or maybe a Mobus spellbind, where you hold the top row Q, W, E, R. You just tap the combo on screen, hold the listed keys, and wait for the color response. If the whole combo lights up green, you are good to go. But if it flashes red, unfortunately, you've hit your keyboard's physical ghosting limit. Beyond just checking if a key physically works or ghosts, there's also the latency test. This measures your input response time in milliseconds. The tool asks you to press any key, and it meticulously records your average, your best, and your worst response times across the session. Obviously, lower latency equals better responsiveness, ensuring your expensive gear isn't lagging behind your actual gaming reflexes. These advanced options honestly transform a simple web page checkup into a full-scale diagnostic lab. You can monitor for ghost clicks, which are those weird phantom inputs that happen without you even touching anything. You can track per-key actuation timing to spot sticky keys that take a little too long to release. You can generate visual heat maps of your sessions. And, incredibly importantly, you can export detailed reports to use as hard evidence for warranty claims or repair tickets. And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, Privacy and Troubleshooting Tips. Let's finally address our core hardware versus software mystery. If keys fail in the tester and they fail everywhere else, well, that's a hardware failure. You'll need to check your cables, Bluetooth batteries, USB ports, or the physical switches. But if a key passes the test perfectly here but fails when you're playing a game, that is a software failure. You just need to check your app focus, fix your OS permissions, or remap your in-game key bindings. See? The tool literally saves you from buying hardware you simply don't need. Naturally, tracking every single keystroke brings up some major privacy concerns. But as the source explicitly states, no keystrokes are recorded or uploaded. Because this is a browser-based tool relying on standard browser events, it runs entirely locally, right on your machine. It guarantees total privacy. There's no server out there capturing your data. Though, as a best practice for digital hygiene, you should probably still avoid typing actual passwords during any diagnostic test. And what's really great is that this whole setup isn't just for desktop rigs. Even if you're troubleshooting a Bluetooth folio case for a tablet or testing a smartphone, the site automatically adapts. It features a mobile-friendly layout. You just tap the input field to summon your device's keyboard, and it actively tracks the characters typed and unique keys, lighting them up visually on the screen, so you can diagnose your portable tech just as easily. So the crucial point I want to leave you with today is this. Before you buy a new keyboard, are you absolutely sure your current one is actually broken? The next time your digital inputs feel off, run this quick checkup. Dive into the data matrix, check your latency, test your rollover, and ask yourself, is it really time to replace your hardware, or do you just need to tweak your setup? The answer might save you a lot of money. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy testing.